Welcome to the Impactus podcast. I'm Mauricio Rosa, and today we have a special episode of our Impactus podcast. This episode is from This Is Me TV, our online TV series featuring various Christian artists and athletes sharing their stories of how God is working in their lives. So Dave McSporran, our producer of the This Is Me TV, catches up with recording artist Manafest to see how his life has changed since our original TV series episode in 2014. So Manafest talks about losing his dad when he was only 5 years old, how he stays sexually pure and maintains sexual integrity while he is on the road, and so many other topics that will be very helpful to you as a man. So let's go to our This Is Me TV interview with Manafest.
Welcome to the This Is Me TV podcast, brought to you by Impactus. My name is Dave, and we're excited to be bringing you this podcast on top of the docuseries. And what's interesting for the next few episodes is we're going to be reconnecting with past guests from the docuseries and just sort of hear what's been going on in their lives since the episode, what God's been teaching us all, and talk a little bit of what happened behind the scenes. So for the first episode today, we are going all the way back to the very first episode that we released with This Is Me TV with Mr. Manafest, Chris Greenwood. Welcome to the show. Thanks for being here with us.
Good to be here on this virtual studio. I'm loving it, feeling it.
Awesome. It's been a minute, but I quickly want to dive back. We filmed in Japan. How many years ago was that?
That would have been 8 years ago.
8 years.
About 8 years ago. Yeah, 2012 when we were out there.
A little bit of a context for that was that you asked me to come and film with you because a buddy that you normally film with wasn't able to make it. So I sort of got the luxury of coming to go on tour with you in Japan. And I had this little thing in my back pocket that I was just waiting for the entire week we were there of, hey, can we just do an interview? Hey, can we do something? I've got this idea. Being in Japan with you was part of the beginnings of This Is Me TV.
Oh, that's cool, man. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I didn't let you know at the time because it wouldn't sound professional.
That's rad, dude. Oh, hey, that's cool.
It wouldn't sound professional at all. So, but yeah, do you remember where we filmed the interview?
I remember it was on a rooftop somewhere at the hotel, I think. We snuck up on the hotel and we were able to get up there. I don't know if we were supposed to be up there, but it was pretty crazy, man. I definitely remember all the tea that we drank there. You introduced me to loose leaf tea that has forever changed my life.
Hey, the good stuff, the good stuff. Let's go back to that time because 8 years ago is a long time. What was going on in your life?
It's really interesting, reflecting. I would say then we were on a pretty big high. Expectations were big. This was a new record. The Chase had just, smashed, done really, really well. And so Fighter was kind of on the upswing of everything. And, we sung a song in Japanese. We sung Fighter in Japanese, did all this stuff. And, re-signed to Tooth and Nail. And, this whole Fighter thing was kind of birthed. It was before my book even came out. And that whole movement started. And little did I know how much of a fighter I was going to need to be because that record ended up not doing so well. And that was actually the last real big trip to Japan, believe it or not, the last tour, because things kind of tapered off. Obviously, my career still did well in other areas and more records and stuff like that. We've released a lot of records. But, man, that was an interesting time since then, and just really having to fight, having a child, moving back to Canada. A lot of change, man. A lot of change since then. Different person completely then. Obviously, I wasn't even a dad.
There was a few things that I learned about you on that trip that really got me stoked. You really focused. You would do the show, then you would go right onto your laptop. You'd either be writing something, you'd be booking the next show, you'd just be doing more and more and more. You were the artist, you were the manager, you were the creative. You were trying to figure out so much about the next few steps.
Yeah, since then, I was definitely hustling, doing too much for sure, but definitely the grind. And it's funny, I just did a video before we did this for my YouTube channel just about how life is made up of choices, not chances. And, I could make the choice to go party, go get drunk, go do whatever, or I could go back home to the hotel with you, have some tea, work on our dream, talk about, really making a difference in my life and not getting into trouble.
What you said there's another moment that stands out for me on this trip, because this was one of my first overseas, bigger, longer trips. I had done stuff in Africa, I'd done stuff in different places, but this was a major city, right? This was not for a not-for-profit or for a charity that I was working with. When you said, like, instead of going out with the guys after, I remember one night specifically, it was after one show. I think you had just left to go to the hotel, and I'd be like, yeah, I'll be there shortly. I sat down at a booth and girls just came around. And I realized they were very flirty. And they were excited because I was with you. Right. So maybe, I don't know what they were thinking, but you know when someone's flirting. And they were, yeah. And I realized in that moment, I'm halfway around the world. I could easily cheat on my wife and no one would know. Not that I want to. Right. But I realized in that moment how easy it is. And right then and there, it was a boundary that I just put up, and I grabbed my skateboard and I just skated as fast as I can, sort of like Joseph, just ripping off leaving his robe and just heading out of there so that he could not be around there. Yeah. And I skated so fast back to the hotel. Didn't tell you. I talked to my wife later about that, but it was just like, that was a moment. That was like a life-defining moment to be like, wow, I get how people do this now. What's that like for you? Because you were on the road a lot.
Well, yeah. Do you remember even that girl that came backstage in Japan and she like bit me or something? I don't know if she was on drugs or what, but I think she was one of the other band's friends. I don't know what she was even doing there, but she was just weird. That was just weird. I've never had anything
that was weird.
That had happened before, but that's why I've just set boundaries in my life to protect myself. You know what I'm saying? And like, let alone start having a friendly drink and getting, alcohol mixed in there. And then not only does your tongue get loose, your mind gets loose, and then your actions, you wonder, start to get loose. And, you do something that you really regret. And that's one of the big things I'm proud about is like, geez, I've been with my wife for 22 years. We've been married for 17. And, after we went to that tour, we went to China. And I don't know if we told you, but like even at the hotel there was like hooker flyers being thrown underneath the doors and stuff like that. And the guy, asked, do you want to go get women afterwards or anything like that? And we're like, no, we're all married. You know what I mean? Or at least most of us were, but just weren't interested in that. Like, we're actually real Christians here, even though we could cheat. And again, like, not putting yourself in a place where you can mess up, all of us know where we should and should not go. It doesn't take a, rocket scientist to know that you shouldn't go to certain places or where things happen. Like, avoid the appearance of evil, right?
Yeah, no. And I thank you for that opportunity just to cement that moment for me to protect my family. We've been married for 12 years now, but we've been also dating since we were like 16, right? So, so it's been a minute, and it's one of these things where there's been so much time that we've invested into the marriage. So I would not want a single moment to screw something up so that I would have to start over, because I just don't want to start over. I want forever.
Oh, dude, I talk about my new book. It's a financial book, but I talk about in there that like divorce takes normally about 70% of a man's income. And the devastation emotionally, physically, psychologically can sometimes last longer than the length you were married, So the trade-off to a man in his dreams, like, and I'm speaking to the men right now, like you think, you want to trade up, cheat on your wife, have an affair, whatever. You have no idea what the cost is. Well, I'm telling you what the cost is, 70% plus of your income, and just a disaster. And so if you can avoid it, I would suggest avoiding it.
There's a theme to a big theme of my life that I try and live by. It just sort of came from this moment of hearing actually some people going through some divorces. But it's this idea of the stories that we live today are the ones we tell tomorrow. So what story am I going to live today so that I can tell that tomorrow? And it's an anthem for me and my wife. It's an anthem for myself and my kids. What stories do I want to tell them in the future?
Yeah, that's good, man. And yeah, then that I would not want to tell them, hey, I got drunk, or I didn't have, practice good habit force. I wasn't disciplined enough. And, I was just having some fun with the guys, and I accidentally cheated on your wife, or on your mom, like, geez, that is definitely not the story I want to tell.
Yeah. And so I'm just echoing what you've just been saying too, of just like the boundaries to put in place, not just for if you're going to go tour around the world, but just for every day.
Yeah. The internet, your phone, like,
sheesh,
whatever, like, and I know that's a real struggle for a lot of guys. Me and my wife both, we, not because we struggle with that, but we struggle with more distraction. But again, we want to use our time wisely. So we install Instagram, we do our posts, and we delete it. It doesn't even stay on. Just
really?
Because we value our time so much and our distraction, and we want to hear from God. We are leaders of people. We are not followers of people. And, we're getting pretty serious about our mission and next level stuff. And so that means we need to take next level actions.
That's dope. So you actually delete the app.
Yeah. And then I'll reinstall it when it comes time to post, or I'll post on via online with like an IGTV video.
Sick. That's amazing. Japan was for me was awesome time to connect with you. I felt like it was just inspirational to be around another Christian who was trying so hard at life. And what I mean by that is it just was, you weren't happy just to do one thing. You felt that you had more to offer this world, and that's what you were doing. And that was something that just truly inspired me. So I just want to say thanks for that time.
Awesome, dude.
But I know there's so much that we didn't cover in that interview. You've gone through a lot of crap.
Yeah, there's been some ups and downs, man, for sure.
And so could you share just a little bit about growing up? Could you share a little bit about losing your dad? Because that's a story I'm not too sure that too many people know, because what they see when they see you, they see a successful, strong, confident man. But I don't think they know that hardship, that pain that you had.
Yeah. Well, for those that don't know, I lost my dad to suicide when I was about 5 years old. All right. He hung himself. All right. And my mom found him, which is devastating on its own. I think we got shuffled off to a McDonald's, me and my sister, to kind of shelter us and stuff. And even when seeing him in the casket, I don't think I fully understood the impact of all these things, And it's really interesting because I get pretty frustrated at men, Like, I think a lot of men are real wussies, and especially Christian men need to step up big time because, we have a Bible, God is the father to the fatherless. And so I became a mama's boy. I was shy. I was timid. I was picked on at school. A lot of things that stemmed from not having a dad, of course, right? That should pour into these things, strengthen me, show me, teach me, But thank God there was a man that approached my mom and said, hey, can I be like a father figure to this guy? And, he was that. And he was like, I don't know, in his 20s at the time. And so he could have been chasing girls. He could have been doing other things. And again, he made a choice to invest in me. And, I'm 41 now. And so that's like, 36 years ago. And what's really cool is that, man, I went kayaking with him just last weekend. So we still have that friendship. So that's a really cool turnaround. But not having a dad forced me to hunt. It forced me to hustle. It forced me to seek out other godly men. And I think that's why I've always been, attracted to godly men that are businessmen and want to be high achievers and do something with their life, because I was picked on and frustrated, I think, to the point that I didn't want that. Like, I don't think I didn't experience poverty in a crazy way or anything like that, but I experienced, the pain, getting bullied, whatever it was, enough that did something in me as a younger kid to want to find success. And I don't know if it's kind of like, I'll show you, like, I wanted to live life at a different level for me, for my family. And I went through a lot of pain and rejection, even when signing the deal. When I signed to a record deal, I thought it was going to be all just easy going and rock star, rap star overnight. And it was nothing like it. I've slept on the floors. I've traveled and not had any money. And, I talked about in the book Fighter, I drove from Cheyenne, Wyoming to California, almost ran out of gas, which was scary enough in the desert. And then finally get to the city or destination in California, and I can't even afford a hotel. And so I sleep in the car in the McDonald's parking lot. And I remember like kind of waking up through the night, scared out of my mind. Like, I don't know where the heck I was really, you know? And then grabbing a bottle of water and brushing my teeth and opening the door and spinning. Like, I woke up there, and then I got to go put on Mr. Inspiring Rock the Show face at the show. And people had no idea. And that's just like, you know, one story. How about me being out on the road and money's not there? My wife can't access it to buy groceries or pay the bills, and she's crying on the phone. And, you know, I just feel helpless, powerless, didn't have a bank manager at the time, didn't have that income, and just that pain and struggle. Or, you know, as my hero Peter J. Daniels says, you know, a lot of people aren't willing to go to the next level of success. They're just happy here because they don't want to go through the pain arena to get to that next level. But if you want to get to the next level, you got to do something today if you want something tomorrow. You know, you got to put in the work today for it. And you got to do what others aren't willing to do today so you can have tomorrow what others can't have, you know? And so I'm able to have a lot of things because I didn't go out and party. I didn't go cheat on my wife. I didn't spend all my time playing video games. I didn't spend all my money on alcohol and drinks and eating out and fashion and all this stuff. I put it into here, and I took action. And so that's why I was able to, you know, achieve some success. It was far from easy, but it was definitely worth it. That's for sure.
For sure. And we're going to circle back to this, but let's go even back a little bit further, because let's be real. Lots of people, unfortunately, have experienced what you have experienced, losing a loved one, losing a family member to suicide. And that doesn't set a positive future. I'm not saying everyone goes in and falls into a hole and just can't pick themselves back up. But if you had an addiction of any sort, they'd be like, that's okay. You lost your dad. And so there would be lots of sympathy. And people would be like, it's okay that you're feeling this way. What did you see that was worth chasing versus going down a road of self-destruction?
Well, I don't know why it was in me as a kid, but like whenever I got into something, it was kind of like I went all in. Like if it was collecting marbles, if it was baseball, hockey cards, like I was all in. When it came to skateboarding, all in. When it came to music, I was all in. And then my cousin, when I got married, gave me and my wife the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I didn't read it for like a year and a half after we, got more into debt and didn't understand finances or anything like that. And then I finally read this book and I'm like, dang, I've been doing it wrong. Like just eye opener after eye opener. And that just like put a big hustle in me, and just to get the money right. And then, so now I'm starting to open myself to these personal development books and stuff like that. And I go on this journey. And so I listened to this guy, Peter J. Daniels, and holy smokes, like he said something that said, you can either trade your life for a big dream, a small dream, or no dream, and the cost is still the same. It's your life. He said, what is this mountain that you want? Just a better job? Just over broke? He said, when you go to meet the Savior and he asks you a couple of questions, he's like, look, Chris, I put you in Canada, put you in the USA, and the most profitable economy ever with so much opportunity. And that's all you did with your life? You could have done this. You could have been born in Africa. You could have been born in India, but you were born in North America. And this is all you've got to show for what I've blessed you with and the opportunity. And that lit a fire under me that, just like the Bible says, oh man, nothing except to love him. And that kind of like sparked in me to like go on this journey. Like this life is a gift. And that means like there's an obligation to do something great with this life. And so that had me go big time harder than I had already kind of started. Cause like I was like kind of doing it, you know what I mean? Figuring it out, like work ethic was there, but that was a complete like pivot or epiphany, revelation where things really changed. And I got like, all right, I'm going to do something with this life. I'm going to change my family tree,
Yeah. And that's incredible. And at that time you were working full time as an IT guy.
Yeah.
Right?
I was still working at the IT job. I was part-time though.
You're part-time. Okay.
Yeah. I was part-time because I Because I remember before I got married, went from 5 days to 4. So I was already starting to try and chase this dream. And, you know, one quote I have in my new book coming out is, you know, either you work hard on your dreams or someone's going to hire you to work on theirs. And so, you know, while I was working at someone else's dream, the IT job, it was someone else's construction company. His name was Aiden. Great guy. I'm working on his dream during the day, but you better believe 6 a.m. while driving to work, I'm working on my dream. At lunchtime, I am working on my dream. When I get in that car, the recorder or the phone calls, whatever it is, I am working on my dream. I never allow waiting time to be wasted time. Stop making excuses, little boy, little man, that you need to grow up. Stop blaming people. Get off your butt and make a difference.
You're pretty easy on yourself, aren't you?
I just wanted it, you know, you just, when you can have more, why not have more? You know, why did the church demonize money so much? It just drives me nuts where they don't want you to succeed. And it's so, I don't say they don't want you to succeed. They want you to succeed, but don't get too crazy. Don't go after the money too much, you know, because people love to grab onto the poverty part of gospel because it means they don't have to perform and they can blame someone else. Say, well, I'm not supposed to be successful. It's like, what are you talking? It's a good excuse. It's a great cop-out, the poverty gospel. It's a great cop-out, not one that I subscribe to.
What you said there, though, about success, that's one of the most important words I think that needs to be defined. I heard from KB, he said this to us, that success is simply faithful labor. And what that really means, if we unpack that, faithful labor doesn't matter sort of what you're doing, but you're giving it your all and you're showing up every day. You're showing up for it. So in that case, if the reward from that is finances, cool. If the reward from that is large impact, cool. If it's both, amazing. But I think that whole thing is like, as Christians, we need to become more successful.
Yeah.
And that just means showing up.
Blessing by obedience, right? Blessing by obedience. Whenever God said, he always said, if you do this, I will do that. And honestly, if you're not successful financially and you live in North America and you are following God, or you say you are and you're not blessed, I'd question honestly to see whether you're really following God in all areas of your life. You know, because I personally think if you do things right and do things God's way, he says so many times to the Jewish people, if you do this, you will be blessed, the blessing of Abraham, you know, and he blessed them. And you look at who's on the top richest people in the world. It is Jewish people because they've learned something about money. And you might say, oh, that's only for the Jews. Well, why don't you open Galatians 3:13 and take a look at why Jesus died on the cross and he became a curse for us so that the blessing of Abraham could come on the Gentiles. Sorry, just blew your excuse out of the water. We are supposed to be blessed so we can be a blessing. And I'm just going to put myself on and say, yes, look at your life. Okay, and ask if you're following God in all these areas. Are you tithing? Are you working? Or are you lazy? You know, and that might rub some people the wrong way, but I hope it rubs you to take action and do something. Stop waiting for someone to come out of the tree and hand you money or something like that. You think it's just going to come, like the God's just going to go, woo, like, yes, God gets all the praise, all the glory for everything that I've done in my life. But it's because I believe it's because of obedience and sometimes just grace, because like I'm a dad now and I understand like my daughter, even if she does something wrong, sometimes I still want to bless her, you know, and love on her because she's my daughter and we're God's kids. And when you look at it through that lens of a father like that, man, it really shows you like he talks about in 1 John, like every good and perfect gift is from above. And it's because it's from our dad, our heavenly Father. So I don't know if you wanted the interview to go that way, but it went that way.
I guess it's here right now, but let's define this. Let's define something, because lots of people might get a little cringy with talking about money and all, you know, like riches prosperity. Like these keywords will just trigger people, right? Which is great. Let's trigger people. But define money and what it is to you. What is money?
Money is a tool to bless people. Okay. That's all it is. Money tool to get things done. It's a form of exchange. All right. And people say, oh, money's not important. Well, then why is your family telling you to go to school, to get a good job? You know what I'm saying? To go to college, to earn money. And honestly, that's really bad advice. Not to go to school and get educated, but to go to college and all these things and go into debt. I don't even want to go there. But like, you know, you say money's not important, but yet you're always stressed about it. Money's not important. Well, then why don't you give me what you got? Money's not important except that, you know, we need it to build our churches, to employ people, to put food on the table. And it's because I think it's a lack of understanding of it. And then it becomes a burden and a stress when really, like, I always say to my wife, like, I wanted to get financially free so I could just always be mission focused. You know, you say money's not important, but you're always thinking about it all the time. And you get stressed out when the pastor asks you to give. Oh, no, I can't. You know what I'm saying? And I know the people that we would have triggered are thinking that way.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you know.
But let's pause right there because you said something pretty important. Lots of people might think that they work for their career or they work for their lifetime. Then they can do whatever they want once they retire. Why not reverse engineer this? If you want to do what you think, oh, I'll do what God's asking me to do later in life. Right now, I need to go to school to get the good job so that I can be comfortable.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot. That's not what God's asking us to do.
I just need enough for me. I don't need anything for anyone else, you know?
Yeah.
I know you're a giver, Dave. I know you give into lots of ministries and charities. And so that's a big thing in your heart.
Have you heard of Bob Goff?
No.
He's an old dude. It's a
cool cover.
Yeah, this is a daily devotional I've just been going through. I've read a few of his books. It's been really cool. I think this stuff is actually pretty cool. I read this morning. And I was like, I'm pretty sure Chris, we're going to get here with him. So I was like, I'll just bring this with me. I think this will be good. But this is what he's talking about. He says, we don't need to do what we're merely capable of doing. We're new creations. We're changing constantly. Don't be limited by what you excel at. Ask God to show you what the newest version of you was made to do.
That's good.
And it's the idea of the title of this is don't just do what you're able to do. Figure out what you're made to do. Then,
that's good.
Then do a lot of that.
That's good.
And so,
that's good, man.
Yeah, live in grace, walk in love. It's a journey that I'm on with trying to understand what God's love is more and more and more, so that I can be this love in this world. Because I'm not the best, and nor will I ever be. But it's something that I'm learning more, and something that I'll dad out right here, and I know you can relate to this with having a daughter. The movie Frozen. Besides having epic soundtracks that I know you love to belt, so sorry for exposing you there. But the idea of that whole story, that whole that the whole premise of that story is Elsa is fearful, and when she's scared, this ice just goes everywhere, and it's just this internal winter. But once she understands that love will cast out the fear, that the fear will actually, like the ice will thaw. I know this might be a stretch, but hey, this is what a dad does when he's watching Frozen with his daughter. When you see that love will thaw the ice, that it will come back to what its intent is. Good. This is beautiful. And this is what I get to talk to my daughter about after this movie, each time we watch it. Isn't it cool how love can cast out fear? And I think potentially lots of us Christians, I know at one point in my life, I was very fearful, and that was stopping me from living the life that I feel like God was asking me to live.
That's good. That's good.
So when I can read books, like I've read two of his books that are about love. It's all about love. Love Does, Everybody Always. And then I'm on this one now. He's got a new one out too. But this is the idea of that if I can understand more about his love, I can live more freely.
That's good, man. Yeah. When you're walking in that love, like, it's interesting. I've said many times, like, especially earlier in my career, and I'd be nervous going to a show. What are people going to say? What if I screw up? What if this happens? What if I look silly? And if you notice, it was all me, 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 me. But when I changed the conversation in my head to, well, who can I inspire? Who can I help? I bet you there's a kid that I can encourage. Can I give a t-shirt away? Can I whatever? And I took the focus off myself and I turned it to love. You better believe that fear was just gone. You know what I mean? And so I encourage people listening to this is that, like, you know, if you are fearful, take it off yourself and think about who can you bless and who can you encourage and inspire. You know, that'll wipe fear off the map right away.
Yeah. And that's something that you've been about for eons, ever since I've known you. I know inspire and encourage, those are the two words that I associate with Manafest, with Chris Greenwood. This is who you are. And so I know we filmed this episode 8 years ago in Tokyo, Japan, and you were on that mission. You've even re-quoted stuff that you said from that episode about what Peter Daniels was telling you about the one life, which is crazy, which is cool that you're still living that out 8 years later. But what are you up to today? What is your mission today? What do you feel that God is calling you to do today? Is it still music? Is it still more? Because I know you've dropped, I don't know how many albums since that in the last 8 years. It's been incredible.
Well, it's an interesting thing, right? Like with the music and the other dreams that I have and businesses that we started. And, you know, me and my wife really dug in and said, okay, like, you know, we went, you know, we're still ministry minded 100%. All right. And want to get Jesus out there, whether that's through music, through courses, books, videos, definitely doing a lot more YouTube videos and things. And honestly, we are really praying about what the next season looks like. And it is more music for sure, but not just for the sake of it. It's like, okay, like what can we write about that can have impact? You know, like we wrote about abortion recently because that really pricked our heart big time, but we wanted to do it in love. You know, we wanted to write a song that, you know, wouldn't offend people that had an abortion, but just shared love and wrapped their arms around it. And my wife and daughter even singing about it. And, you know, there's other things that are going on politically, socially, you know, how can I be a voice that reaches people and loves them and brings them in, you know, because I've even realized, like, I want to reach all these people around the world, obviously. And we've reached millions of people. So we've seen thousands of hands come up and receive Jesus. But what about my neighbor just down the street who doesn't agree with me about COVID or Trump? And do I just keep arguing about that stuff? And his wife actually goes to our church, but he's not a believer. You know, God cares just about as much him as those millions, if not more. And so it's kind of like, you know, really living this out like everywhere, you know, and trying to just turn up my love game, just kind of like how you were talking about, because it's love that's going to win people over. They will know us by our love. And, you know, I know I was being a little harsh there. People might disagree about the money thing or prosperity, whatever. And that's okay. I love you, bro. I love you, sister, whoever's watching this. That's okay to disagree. Like, just know my heart is so love, you know, and just wanting to help because it's changed my life. So I'm obviously passionate about it. But at the end of the day, like, I don't want to argue with other Christians. That's for dang sure. You know what I'm saying? Like, they need to know us by our love while we're sharpening each other. And hopefully, you know, that's what this podcast is about, to make people think, you know, get them to think differently and challenge ideas and get different perspectives and stuff. You know, long answer to that, but it's just like, yeah, more music, more books, more videos, probably going to be doing some more stuff with my wife. A lot of people want to hear her on some more songs and doing things together, but just cranking it up, man, 10Xing it and just reaching more people and just trying to be, like you said, a good steward of these gifts that God has given us. Yeah.
And that's a key word for me, the stewardship, right? We're given one life. We're given potentially one family. We're given people in our lives. We're given friends. And what are we doing to steward our relationships? What are we doing? Like, I think we've talked about this every single year I do the F and 5 goals, and it's faith, family, friends, finance, and future. The sixth one is fitness. So you can squeeze that one in. So it's going to be the 6 effing goals. And it's F because not that we're cursing, but they all start with F. But like, these are the things that are in our world. So it's like, what do you want these areas to look like? And we are the stewards. No one is controlling our body.
It's good.
We are the ones that decide when we wake up. Well, first off, we are the ones, I understand this, we're the ones that decide when we go to bed. When we go to bed, that also then dictates sort of when we're going to get up. And what are we going to do with our time? Are we going to recognize that we have a more productive time of our days? Are we going to ignore some emails, some notifications, so we can do something more important?
That's good.
Because
that's good, man.
This is what we have, this one life. And so if we break it down, that's how I break it down. I'm on point with you. I love your passion for everything. Your passion for God, but you're bold in faith. You're bold in love. You're bold. And when you talk about money, I know exactly your heart. And that's why I'm smiling the whole entire time. You want people to be able to create a future for themselves and their family without complaining about like, oh, I wish I could. And I get all this. And this is what like I love so much about you is just you're a dude on fire. And you're a dude on fire, but I see Jesus throughout your life. So it's not just like, oh, you're a good business guy, you're a good musician guy. No, you're a dude who loves God first, wants to make him known through these different avenues, as you've just said.
Yeah, it's just passion, man. I am glad that comes through. And, you know, you've encouraged me over the years too, dude, your work ethic and just, you know, integrity and honesty with your family. And it's encouraging, and it's, you know, nice to be around other, you know, brothers and sisters that think that way. Not that, because sometimes you always feel like you're trying to pull people up, and, you know, you don't look down upon anyone else or anything like that. But like, look, another decade's going to go by. All right. Are you going to be the same person that you were a decade ago, or are you going to change? And that's up to you and the decisions you make today. You know, life is choices. It's not chances. And, you know, you said it, man. Are you going to have the discipline not to just wake up early, but to go to bed earlier, which might be even harder for some, you know, but it's these choices that are going to, you know, dictate what your future looks like. And you're the one who has to live in it, not me, not Dave, not anybody else. You have to live in your future. So you decide what choices you're going to make today and be the architect of your life, you know?
Yeah. What do you got in the works right now? What's coming up for you?
As we're recording this is the next new song that comes out. I just happened to be wearing this shirt. I don't know if I planned it or whatever, but it's called Dangerous. I'm excited about that. New book's coming out. It's called, I won't give the title, but it talks about my journey from debt to financial liberty, you know, and getting out of debt and what God really showed me in there. That's maybe why I'm a little bit more passionate about the finances right now, because I want to help people, man. It just always seems to be the problem when I'm talking to people. It's like never have enough money, and it was for me. So that lots more YouTube videos. I train a lot of artists, help them market and sell their music online. We'll release another record next year, but this year just kind of dropping singles and stuff. And yeah, just growing, man. But we're really excited about this new book right now and just helping people get free in different areas of their life, man.
That's so cool. Yeah, and I know your other book, Fighter. That is just basically a roadmap to get through obstacles in life. That's how I define it.
Yeah, just how to fight through, man. First chapter is courage, how to start your dream. Next chapter is perseverance, how to keep going. Talks about the fighter's mindset, about like, you know, having that right mindset. The battle's in the mind, discipline, willpower, and then writing down your dream, which becomes your vision, and then setting goals and making it happen, man. Because it just doesn't happen by itself. And just know you are not alone out there.
Yeah, and if anyone quickly is on that journey that they're trying to figure out the future and they're unsure, grab this book. It's helped me, it'll help you, and it's just it's a blueprint to how to get to the next step, the next level. You know, prayer is a big part of this. We know that, You need to plan, you need to prepare, but you definitely need to pray. And you need to make sure that you're seeking God through all that you're doing, because at the end of it, this is his life that he's given us. He gave it to us to steward. And this is just a way to unpack what you feel that your calling might be.
Awesome.
Dude, so what are you learning these days about God? What are you learning in your faith? What are you learning that you just want to share, inspire, and encourage?
Yeah, I'm learning to have church from home, and that you got to feed yourself and can't rely on going to church. And, I said to my wife a couple weeks ago, like, when you had the youth camp, when you had all the youth events and all that stuff, and it's like, was that just a facade? Was that just fun because it was cool at the time? And let me tell you, a lot of the people that used to be at the front praising, oh yeah, it's easy to praise, when everybody else is do it, but can you do it at home? Can you get in your Bible every single day now and in your marriage? I used to hear guys even say back then, oh, I'll get serious about God when I'm older. No, you won't. No, you won't.
It's true.
You got to start now. You got to start now. And just that, like, for me and my household, we will serve the Lord. Me and my wife are still tithers, always will be. We pray with our daughter every single night. We want to get into the word and hear from God. It's his business. It's his money. It's his everything. And, was it Moses or Joseph? One of them were saying, I don't want to go in there, God, unless you're with us, and I don't want to build something and figure out that my ladder that I'm climbing up is leaning against the wrong building. I want it to be leaning against what God wants as I'm climbing this up. And I'm just learning that I need him more, and I need to be more disciplined, seeking him, reading and hearing from him. And someone said, it's like, I think it was Christine Kane. She was talking about the difference between a gift and the anointing or something. I can't even remember, but it just really encouraged me just to seek God even more. But I just don't want anyone to get to the point where they're, I'm still hearing from God. I'm still hearing from God, that they don't take action. That's what I don't want you to do. I want you to seek God. You pray, find a scripture, something that lines up, but then you got to take a shot. You got to take a jump, guy. You got to take a jump, girl. You might screw up. But like I've said in my book, Fighter, like, it's much easier to steer a moving ship than one that's just standing still. All right. You're not going to miss God. Like, it's stepping out in faith, but just say, God, okay, I'm going for this. And just all you can do is do your best and pick yourself back up if you make a mistake. God's for you. Who could be against you? So, yes.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time today, Chris. It's always a pleasure connecting. And so thanks for making this happen. Love you too. All right. So thank you so much. This is Me TV podcast with Mr. Manafest.
Yeah, bro.
Dude, thank you. If you have any comments or questions, leave them below. Subscribe on all the platforms you're listening. Like, share, and ring that bell for us. The This Is Me TV podcast is brought to you by Impactus. For more resources, This Is Me TV episodes, and how to give, head to impactus.org.